I think I might have created one of the most unique builds ever. What makes this build so unique is that we are a Netrunner that doesn't net run. I've had this idea swirling in my head ever since 2.0 dropped, and it wasn't until recently I finally made a build that I feel takes full advantage of it in a really good way. You see, what sparked the idea was this fancy mod here called the Shuffler. Drawing weapons automatically refills ammo up to 25%. Legendary tier puts this at 35% of the magazine size. You could see here with this SMG, if I shoot all the bullets in the gun, swap off of it, swap back, I have an additional 14 shots in the magazine. Normally, this isn't that good of a mod. However, putting 2 of these on a double barrel shotgun allows you to hot swap between shotguns, allowing you to put out an insane amount of damage crazy fast. Double barrel shotguns are some of the highest single damage guns in the game. However, while swapping between them constantly, I feel like it's really tricky to make sure you lock your targets and hit your shots, as you can see with my crappy gameplay. Another issue with this idea is if you just keep pressing the weapon swap button, you will eventually get to your fists, which you obviously don't want in this situation. However, someone in chat one time told me that there is an actual setting in the accessibility that allows you to turn this off. With that knowledge and just really mulling over this idea a lot more, I think I have something special for you. I want to start off actually with our weapons and gear because we're really only using one. There are 2 smart shotguns, but I'm going to be honest, I tested out both of them and they were drastically different in how effective they were, and the DB4 was by far the better choice in my opinion. The only drawback to the DB4 is how the projectiles work. They fly out in a distance and do big arcs, so sometimes they can hit the walls beside you if you're in a tight tunnel, which can be quite annoying at times, but if you learn how to get around it and shoot with that in mind, you can make it still work quite easily. Now, if you are looking to just get this build started, if you head over to the weapon shop near the dam, they have the legendary crafting spec, but if you know how this game works by now, you can only craft weapons at a tier 5. But of course, if you're like me and you want to min-max, you want that 5++ DB4. Now, although I just used mods to give myself these so I could do testing because I didn't want to spend forever looking for these, I did actually end up spending some time afterwards trying to find a consistent location to get these. And a consistent spawn for one is here in the Increased Criminal Activity mission. After completing this increased criminal activity, if you run away far enough, wait a full day, and come back to this area, there'll be new enemies in this encounter. After clearing out these enemies, there's a couple chests in one of the central rooms that has weapons inside of it. One of them guarantees the spawn of this DB4 shotgun, but of course then you have the issue of finding that perfect 5++ with the open mod slots. And again, you need both mod slots for the Shuffler to reload one of the barrels of this shotgun. Now, I don't know if it's just my game freaking out on me, but the save and reload trick to continually recycle these weapons to get what you want doesn't really work for me anymore. I used to use it on old patches to get the guns that I wanted. However, current patch, it seems like I can do it once, but then it doesn't work anymore. So I had to do this encounter quite a few times to get a 5++ to show up. However, it did have a mod slot that was filled, and sadly, because of how the update works now, we can't replace mods, which is the stupidest thing. But so yeah, finding one with either the mod you already need, the Shuffler, or just 2 open mod slots, it's going to take some time, but you can definitely do it. Now, when it comes to clothing, it doesn't matter near as much, so choosing things that give like health item recharge speed, that's probably one of my favorites. Also, because we do have the ability to quick hack, getting quick hack upload time reduction, not a bad choice either. Next, we're going to be jumping into our perks and attributes. Now, because we are playing obviously with Phantom Liberty and such, it means we have a level cap of 60 and have access to the relic skill tree. Starting from the top into body, the main thing we're looking for here is the ability to obliterate and just the adrenaline rush ability with our health items. I honestly think adrenaline rush is one of the more powerful abilities in this game. When you have auto healing set up with your CYBERWEAR, it just keeps you healthy and alive and makes you not have to think about things. Also gives you damage buffs, movement speed buffs, so getting adrenaline rush as well as the ability to obliterate enemies with shotguns helps a lot in this situation because of course we're using smart shotguns. Because we don't have the ability to use a Sandy to slow down time or a Berserk to go invulnerable, perks that just help with our health regen and such is very helpful with this build. For reflexes, I literally can't make a build without air dashing. That's about all there is. I got stuff for mitigation. I like the mid-air maneuverability, especially for this build. And of course, we want to be able to shoot while moving around, so grabbing multitasker and steady grip so we can shoot no matter what situation, swapping our weapons no problem. One thing I could suggest is if you don't care about the plus 25 stamina for air dashing, you could put the 5 attributes to get the adrenaline rush pain to gain. Honestly, I was torn between the two, but I decided to go for this because also the extra 5 reflexes does give extra crit chance. Next, in technical ability, we are looking for these 2 final skills. These 2 skills do a lot for us. This obviously increases our CYBERWEAR capacity, which we want, and ticking time bomb, this is incredibly strong. If you didn't know, this stuns pretty much any boss and any enemy in the game, even Atom Smasher. And of course, because we're filling our CYBERWEAR as high as it can go, it deals a crazy amount of damage, stuns the enemies, and allows us to do a ton of damage while enemies are stunned with our shotguns. Because we're using overclocking, we do want the extended duration. Because I have all the skeleton slots filled, also getting the -5 incoming damage. And I think this is a must-have perk if you have the tech skill tree, just extra CYBERWEAR capacity. And then because we are using blood pump, basically anything to help blood pump is what we want, but we don't care about faster use because blood pump and biomonitor, this perk doesn't matter. So basically anything that's going to help with your health item recharge is going to be very valuable here. This is again one of those situations where if you want to pull certain perk points out and put them maybe into grenades because you like grenades. Honestly, with this build, I'm already pretty preoccupied with how much I have to swap my weapons, so trying to throw a grenade in the middle of that, I feel like it's too much. Next, the cool skill tree, we did nothing. We have 6 cool though because it adds crit damage. If you didn't know, the cool skill tree just adds flat crit damage, so that's literally it. And lastly, probably one of the most important perk trees is intelligence. The main thing we want is the smart synergy. When overclock is active, smart weapons gain instant target lock, and it gives plus 25% damage to an enemy affected by a quick hack. Of course, because these are smart shotguns, we basically want everything we can get to keep these smart shotguns active. Now, although these are required in order to just get to here, so you would have them anyway, I do just want to point out that this perk basically makes it so that way, even though you're swapping shotguns, the target lock stays locked on. You know what, actually, I'm going to make a change on the fly. I actually don't like this perk. I don't like distributing my damage between too many people because then they all stay alive rather than me taking out one of them at a time. I'd rather one-shot one of them and then have 2 enemies left than hit all 3 of them and then they all shoot at me. So I actually don't put that perk in. However, we do want the lock-on range increase. The thing that makes this build probably more unique than any is that it is in Netrunner that doesn't do any net running. We're basically using the overclock feature just for the smart weapon, which I didn't think to do originally, which is why this build took me a while to come up with. Because I felt like whenever I went into intelligence, it's like, oh, you want a quick hack, but then you don't quite have enough perks to throw into all these other skill trees to really build it out this way. And I found a combination that I feel like works quite well. Now, we are actually taking advantage of a lot of RAM bumps simply because of this perk here. When overclock is active, all RAM recovery also affects regenning health. Because when you activate overclocking, your health turns into RAM, so all your RAM regen also regens your health. So that's really important, especially with a perk like this, recirculation plus 2 RAM after neutralizing an enemy with a smart weapon. Well now, because of this perk, that 2 RAM is also our health. And because we have a bunch of RAM, that also means our accuracy with smart weapons goes up a decent amount. So there's some interesting synergy happening here that basically just means we want a lot of RAM and we want to keep as much of it as possible. So that'll be reflected even in our CYBERWEAR. Now, although I didn't need to go up this skill tree, I did just for the extra RAM that it gives. And also in case I do want a quick hack, it does allow me to quick hack faster and just allow me to do the queuing process, which queuing quick hacks is a very powerful ability. I actually think I'm just going to move that perk and put it into Stunt Jock. I don't know. Stunt Jock is just so nice. And finally, talking relic skill tree, because you can literally have everything here, it really doesn't matter. I will say though that vulnerability analytics is really good, especially because smart weapons actually target that vulnerability. So it allows you to do a lot more damage if they have a vulnerability point, and then the smart weapon will just hit it automatically, which causes a big explosion of damage. Now, going through CYBERWEAR, I want to start here talking about the operating system. I think I'd show something that people would think is weird. You would think I'd go for one of the iconics or something better, but the main thing we're looking for here with this one is its last line of text. While overclock is active, smart weapons and the monowire, don't care about monowire, deals bonus electrical damage equal to 25% of the normal attack damage. To test this out, I decided to play around with Atom Smasher, and on average was hitting between 450 to about 550. However, with overclock active, I was getting to the upper 600s very consistently, which is honestly so worth it, especially because while overclocked, we have instant locking, so we can play more aggressive. So this is just really good to pair with these weapons, because again, we're a Netrunner who doesn't net run. We're only in this for the shotgun extra lock-on damage. I think another cool line of text out of this cyber deck is when uploading a quick hack to an enemy, shooting them with a smart weapon accelerates the upload speed. And again, with this perk, they also take an additional 25% damage if they're affected by a quick hack. So pretty solid synergy. Now, going back to the start of the CYBERWEAR skill trees here in the frontal cortex, I decided to go for self-ice to automatically negate an enemy quick hack and gain the 2 additional RAM. Again, more RAM, more accuracy, more health. I also went for the iconic axolotl, which gives 6.5% cooldown instantly for all CYBERWEAR after neutralizing an enemy. Because we are quite aggressive, it means we're cooling down all of our CYBERWEAR very quickly. And the weird one is the Quantum Tuner. In order to get this, you have to, of course, spoilers, send Songbird to the moon, and she decides to send you a gift as a sort of thank you, I think. This is actually really important to this build because after overclocking and basically going as long as we can, the Quantum Tuner instantly resets the cooldown of our cyber deck, allowing us to overclock immediately once again. And that of course releases another EMP blast because of our perks, which stuns all the enemies around us again. Every time we activate overclocking, it's also giving us a health bump because of our perks. I've never actually really heavily used this, but I absolutely love it with this build. Now with arms, I left it empty because even though I switched the setting that says it won't switch to an arm CYBERWEAR, it still was. So removing the arm CYBERWEAR stopped it from doing that. And so yeah, I don't have anything. For the eyes, I went for the crit chance increase of these iconic eyes. And for the skeleton slots, I decided to go for the health increase of the skeleton. The RAM recoup, receiving damage restores RAM, which again, our RAM is our health. So receiving damage restores our health. It's kind of a weird thing, but I like it. And I just got mitigation strength from spring joints. The hand CYBERWEAR, we went with the smart link, but everything else that we could possibly get doesn't help our weapons. So we just didn't even invest the perk or anything. There's no point. I went for the iconic deep field visual interface. This just increases our crit chance the further we are from an enemy. And with our Kuroshi eyes that we have, we are pretty guaranteed to get crits. And here's what I consider the holy trinity of the circulatory system. Honestly, this is now on every build that I use. If you watch any of my past build videos for 2.0 plus, this is pretty much what all of them are running now. Second Heart, Biomonitor, and Blood Pump. This is just such an incredible combo at keeping you alive. I cannot recommend it enough. Next, I wanted optical camo because I like to be able to just get out of combat with the relic perk if I need to, maybe to craft ammo or whatever. Crazy amount of armor. All I need to say. And then nanoplating, I really like this because every time I dash, which I'm doing a lot with this build, we gain 100% chance to just not take damage basically, which I mean, there is a max capacity because of the 3 projectiles every 5 seconds, but I still think it does help quite a bit because if you're moving around enough, you're not going to get hit much. If you're not getting hit much, that also means the damage is just getting absorbed by this thing. So it's really good. And then lastly, I always stick to reinforced tendons. Double jump, just basic double jump, by far my favorite. So anyways, that should pretty much cover everything. If you have any further questions or want further clarification on things, make sure to leave some comments down below letting me know what you think. Also, would you like more build videos like this? I feel like I have a wealth of stupid knowledge because of how I've played the game, and I feel like I still have some stuff that I could show off. Maybe, I think. I honestly don't know anymore. If you have any crazy build ideas, I'd love to hear anything you have down below. I love trying to take something that feels like it shouldn't work and all of a sudden make it work. So anyways, thanks for watching, and here's a little showcase of this build just going crazy for a bit.